Welcome to WYCE's Community Close-Up. Community Close-Up is our weekly public affairs program, produced in partnership with the Rapidian, a hyperlocal news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. Community Close-Up brings you a diverse perspective from community leaders throughout West Michigan. I'm WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower. It's my pleasure to welcome into the studio this week, speaking of the Rapidian, Allison Donahue, Program Manager for the Rapidian. You can learn more at therapidian.org. We did a program, actually when it was the previous edition, Community Connection, about a year ago, or sometime around that, for the WYCE Spring Fund Drive. It's now time for the Rapidian Fund Drive, happening in mid-September. Allison, welcome back to Community Close-Up.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having us on the show.
Well, the Rapidian is a lot of things. It's, as I just said in our introduction, a hyperlocal news service. It existed actually as far back as 2009. Is that right?
Yeah, that's when it launched. With the
and
CMC.
It was doing its thing. This is the advent of social media, doing its thing as traditional print newspapers were continuing to decline in terms of their subscribers, and online news was continuing to grow and expand. And then COVID hit, and what happened to the Rapidian?
It went on a little bit of a hiatus, just less energy being put into getting more community reporters. So in 2023, we relaunched, started hosting listening sessions around Grand Rapids, relaunched with the Documenters Network, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, and then really got back into writing news and getting people into the practice of writing news here in Grand Rapids.
So the Rapidian, as a hyperlocal news outlet, strives to be different. How, Allison?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else like it in Grand Rapids. Not only are we nonprofit news, but we are community powered. So everyone who writes for the Rapidian is a part of the Grand Rapids community in some way. Everyone is, we pay our reporters to do this work. We give them the training to do this work. And so in some part, we are focused on producing quality news here in Grand Rapids produced by Grand Rapidians. But at the same time, we're also trying to inform people on how to be better news consumers through the way of learning how to be good news producers. Yeah, that's kind of the mission, what we're working on.
At its core, aside from the paid staff, you have a paid staff of 3, you as the program manager, and then you have here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center, Elena and Sabrina on your team, all paid staff members. But at its core, the Rapidian, is it fair to say, is citizen journalism in a sense?
Yeah, I think that's the term. There's so many buzzwords around journalism, and don't even get me started on the question of like, what is a journalist? Because I will go on a tangent for a long time.
We'll do that as the extended version of this, a special on-demand podcast, because that is quite a question, and there are a lot of people in the industry pondering what journalism is and what a journalist should be in 2025. It's a big question. But one of the special, really, I think, exciting and unique things about the Rapidian, and we kind of got on a tangent. Imagine that. You and I got on it. Tangent.
Can't believe it. We've never done that before.
We've never done that before. Going back to COVID, the Rapidian relaunched in the fall of 2023 with a very new and important component, and that is the Grand Rapids Documenters program. Can you talk about that? Talk about why it was important to relaunch the Rapidian, a hyperlocal online news presence, but to have this Documenters presence.
Yeah, I would say one of the big things about the Rapidian relaunching is that we are not trying to come in and do what MLive does or do what Wood TV8 does. They do it well already in Grand Rapids. We're just trying to find places where we see holes in their coverage because newsrooms are shrinking, and they have less reporters or less reporter time to go cover the big decision-making processes in Grand Rapids at these public city meetings. So we launched the Grand Rapids Documenters program in partnership with City Bureau, which is a civic journalism lab based in Chicago that started the nationwide Documenters program. And the idea is to pay and train residents to cover public city meetings. So we give them the rundown on what to look out for during these meetings, and then they go and take record of some of the big decisions that are happening every single day here in Grand Rapids that a lot of people are just missing out on because our local news doesn't have the bandwidth to send people to these meetings all the time.
That's another topic that could be an entirely different program, which is the death of local news ecosystems, the slow death of local news ecosystems across the country. I believe in Michigan, we have dozens of counties that have news deserts.
Yeah.
And really for our listening audience, if you can imagine what a desert looks like, a news desert is simply a geographical area where there's not any local news gathering outfit, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit. And you have a really big concern there because there's nobody watching the township government, the city government, if you're in an area with an incorporated city or a type of municipality, nobody watching the police department or the county sheriff department, and so on and so forth, including the school system. And you could go on and on and on. That's that whole, Allison, that whole idea of the press as a watchdog of the government, which goes back centuries in this country. It's a whole concept for the First Amendment and a free and unfettered press. What is the difference, as we talk about the Documenters program, what's the difference in becoming a Rapidian reporter versus a documenter, or can they be one and the same?
A lot of people double dip. So a lot of our reporters also take on documenters assignments and vice versa. But documenters are just going to these city meetings, taking notes. And if you go to the Rapidian website, you can see what I mean when I say notes, because it's not in the same format that you would see a news article. It looks like a notes outline. So you can really get bullet points of what was said, what was voted on, what were the public comments like, information that you can't get from just looking at meeting minutes. You can get in those documenters notes, whereas Rapidian reporters also go through trainings. We do monthly writers' rooms together to pitch stories and work on our craft and learn more about journalism writing. But those are often stories either that come across our desks that we pitch to reporters, or Grand Rapidians come to us and they're like, hey, I haven't seen this in the news. I think it's worth sharing with the community. And we work on writing more general news articles about Grand Rapids.
Allison Donahue is with us, program manager for the Rapidian. You can learn more at therapidian.org, and it's THERAPIDIAN.org. And I would encourage you to bookmark that. Make sure you're checking that out daily. It is optimized for your mobile device as well, too. The Rapidian is supported, it's one of the programs like WYCE supported through the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. But the Rapidian is also supported by private and community donations, people who believe in the power of hyperlocal journalism and are concerned about protecting the local news ecosystem, as we've talked about, and really just making sure that someone's keeping an eye on those zoning board meetings, the school board meetings, any type of government meeting. Somebody's there to cover those and report back if they can. So one of the reasons we're talking with Allison right now is coming up on September 15th, a little less than 10 days from now, as we have this conversation on the radio, is the Rapidians Fund Drive, which is 5 days, September 15th through 19th. You're going to be, well, you can't do this on a radio because you're a hyper-local online news service, but you're going to be fundraising on social media. How else are you gonna fundraise for the Rapidian? Let's talk about this so our listeners can know.
We're going to be out in the community. I think that's a big part of the Rapidian, is that we are the community essentially. So we have a few events that are happening that week where you can meet the Rapidian team, find out more about us, and also donate to support our cause. So the evening of September 15, Monday night, the Rapidian will be at Harmony Brewing Company, tabling there all day. Awesome. A portion of the sales to Harmony Brewing Company sold. Pizzas sold, beers sold at Harmony Brewing will go back to support the Rapidian. That is an incredible partnership and sponsorship that we have from a local business. So we'll be there tabling, learn more about us there. We're also going to be at Wealthy Theater on Wednesday, the 17th. We're showing, and it just was announced last week or recently. We're showing the end of the tour, which is a movie that was shot here in Grand Rapids, which is fun. You'll see some clips of Grand Rapids, but it's about a journalist following David Foster Wallace around, and good journalism movie. So we'll be there. We'll be tabling. All ticket sales, portions of ticket sales will go to support the Rapidian there. We'll also have a documenters orientation. So if that's of any interest to you, getting involved in that way, that will be on Thursday. More information is online about that at therapidian.org. And yeah, we'll be all over your social media. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, which I do recommend, you'll be hearing about us there. And if I can make one more pitch about the fund drive, is that every dollar donated up to $5,000 throughout that entire week will be matched thanks to our friends who helped us launch the Documenters program at City Bureau, which is huge. So
very cool.
Yeah, every dollar is doubled the entire week.
And if you missed that part of the conversation, City Bureau is the organization that funds and supports documenters programs all across the United States. And there's a documenters group in Detroit as well.
Yeah. Right? We were one of there's so many now. It grew very, very quickly. The Grand Rapids program, I think, was the 8th program. And now we're like pushing 30 something across the country. So wow. It really grew quickly.
We are just a few days away from the Rapidians Fund Drive. Again, several ways you can support them, including the kickoff at Harmony Brewing on the 15th. You can go to therapidian.org and, of course, follow them on social media to learn more about the Fund Drive week, which is the 15th through the 19th. As I'm looking at the rapidian.org, the website online, there's a very obvious donate button. It's in red with a little red heart on the side. That's where you can click to make a donation of any amount. If you won't be able to attend one of the community events, including the Wealthy Theater event as well, you can make a donation there securely at therapidian.org. Allison mentioned the Rapidian newsletter. Don't forget to sign up for that. There's a link there where you can put it in your email and get that, and it's a spam-free thing. And real quickly, we've got a couple minutes left, Allison. We wanted to talk about the transparency policy. It's something you hold very dearly, you and your team at the Rapidian hold very dearly, which basically means there's no question about if people are giving us money, are they influencing editorial policy? Take a minute to talk about that, if you would, please.
Yeah, definitely. I think the cool thing about the Rapidian being community powered, so we're written by the community, we're also funded by the community through donations. And I think that is really special, that the community gets to own this news source and be a part of it and fund it and write it. But we also want to make sure that we follow these journalistic standards, and that no one has editorial control just because they have a bigger wallet than someone else. So yeah, donors don't really get to tell us what we can or can't write about. And if that means someone pulls a donation, they pull a donation. We've got a duty to the community to give them good news, good quality news. It won't always be good news, and do it and not have. We're not owned by anyone. There's no advertisers that can tell us what we can or can't write, but it is the community donations that make it possible for us to write it all.
And it's truly independent local journalism. So if you just believe in that and believe in the power and importance of local journalism, this is a great time to support the Rapidian. Again, you can do that at therapidian.org. Is there anything else I didn't ask you wanted to share with our listeners?
I guess we talked about news deserts not too long ago. And I will say we're so lucky in Grand Rapids to not live in a news desert. That is one of the really, really great things about Grand Rapids. But I think there's room for us to improve as like civically engaged and informed residents. And that's so like central to the Rapidians' mission is that we are, going deeper than just having healthy news ecosystem, but learning and using it to make our community better. Because we know that the more informed a community is, the less waste there is in government spending, that the stronger and healthier communities there are, that crime goes down when people feel connected through their community. And I think local news, and especially community-powered news, is a really great vehicle for that. So while we don't live in a desert, there's still so much room to improve in our civic engagement.
And if you love the music in WYCE, you should also be engaged, be active in your community. It's just a healthy thing. We certainly support that, and we are proud to support our partner here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center, the Rapidian. Allison Donahue, Program Manager with the Rapidian. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
This is WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with those guys, the Rapidian, a hyperlocal news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. I am WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower. That's our program for this week. Thank you for joining us.